Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to be sitting down with you and having a conversation. I was reflecting this morning on influential people that have helped me, and it's really crazy because I've been in corporate built my career in corporate. I only left in December. The biggest influences in my life have been coaches that I've had, like yourself, from a business perspective as well, and then a couple of others where it's always been me going out to better myself rather than learning in corporate, which is so interesting, right? Where they don't focus on the who, they focus on the technical stuff. Like you've been like a really key part in my journey and me starting a business. So I'm really excited about the conversation and you sharing your message, because I just love you as a person and what you stand for, what you're creating, and you're just a beautiful person. So
thank you
excited.
so much. I'm super excited for it. And I think firstly, I really appreciate you putting time aside and also been working together for a long time. So that's a huge important point as well, that I feel like if you look at it, just even what you just said, you went from your comfort zone into your growth zone.
Yeah.
And ideally not into too much of a danger zone quite yet. But if you left in December your job, the amount of progress you've made has been crazy. So it's kind of like you don't need to spend 5 years doing something to make progress. You can actually make that progress in 9 months because you took a bet on yourself, and then when you did feel the squeeze that you're out of your comfort zone, you didn't run away from it.
Yeah.
I've had a conversation with someone this morning about someone who's literally running from the growth zone right now. They want to go back in the comfort zone, and respectfully, you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, it's how do you plan to change if you're not going to make the change effectively, you know?
Yeah.
So it's been beautiful to see your journey, because I know the feeling of hitting record for the first time. I know the feeling of hitting record for 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And it's still difficult. You know, whether it's difficult setting up these damn cameras, which spent me 3 hours this morning, or looking at what you want to say, or looking at how do you want to articulate yourself. I just recently recorded a video about 2 days ago. I redid my origin story, and I got up and I was like, I hate it. You know, so what we do in this space, it may look easy or it may not look easy, but underneath all of that, there's like still the limiting beliefs, there's the ability, there's the skill gap, there's the experience gap, and then there's like life. And life impacts and bulldozes everything.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm excited for this.
Yeah. I have so many questions, even just what you just said, but I'm sure they will naturally come out in the podcast as well. So you're someone that has built a business, and as you mentioned this morning, like it's scaling pretty fast at the same time. And you're definitely, I'm going to say this and hopefully it comes out the right way, you're an overnight success in a way. Like if you think about how much growth that you've had over the last, even since I've been working with you as well, right? Yeah, people see an overnight success, but it's been like all the years that's happened until you've got to this point. So how did you get here, and what's your journey? And you said about the origin story as well. Like, how did you be in a company that is just moving fast?
Yeah. So my favorite thing on this is like everyone's overnight success is littered with 10 years of pain, which is quite literally where it goes all the way back for me, because I'm 29 now. My first business, well, actually, my first business when I was like 5. So I'll never forget, my grandfather handed me this massive glass bottle, which was actually a 5-liter bottle of whiskey. You know, they used to have whiskey back in the day in the big bottles. And he said to me, if you can fill this with coins, I'll replace it with notes and give you even more. And that was my first instance being like, if I do things for people, if I do just services, acts of service, acts of kindness, I'll fill this jar, quite literally fill this jar, and I will get notes in exchange. And I remember distinctly, it took me like, I don't know, however long, like 2 damn years. It was a 5-liter bottle of glass, right? But I was like cutting grass, helping around the house, doing these small medial things. And I just realized myself that inputs equals outputs equals outcomes. And I was like 4. I was literally 4 years old doing that, which I thought was kind of the basis for everything, because as I got a bit older, you know, I grew up in Ireland, very remote, very rural area. Like a lot of difficulty in my childhood with alcoholism, also with abuse as well, like really, really bad as a child from when I was super, super young, I would say, like, you know, early teens, to the point that I always knew what I was running from and what I wanted to escape from. I didn't know what that was, but I wanted to do something better. And that's been like a constant reoccurring theme that initially in the beginning, you kind of run from pain versus towards pleasure. So I never grew up around money, never really knew what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted out. So I was always just fiddling with things. And as early as 16, 17, I was running events. So I used to run like high school balls, high school like parties.
Yep.
I used to run like mystery tour parties on buses, like 16, 17, 18. I did that for quite some time. I ran some bigger events too. And it was just this idea of, again, the inputs equals outputs equals outcome. And I knew that I could just crack something like this. Now, obviously, that's not like a sustainable thing. And I think as I got a bit older, I went into a variation of engineering. It's like business and engineering. By doing those two things, I could kind of see, okay, again, more product focus, more building focus, which I really enjoy. And before the age of 23, I had 3 failed businesses. The events business, I also had an e-commerce company, and I also had a software company. And even just a double tap on those specifically, what was so interesting about that is it was the same recurring theme. I was running from pain, running from something I didn't want to do. I remember living in London at the time. I was in banking. I was with like this average, just run-of-the-mill bank. Was not an extraordinary person. And I just thought to myself, I want to build something that gets me out of this. And I remember distinctly, I moved to London. I had chip on my shoulder. I wanted to make great things. I wanted to do great things, even in my career, my corporate career. I never forget, you probably resonate with this. The first day walking into the office, I was wearing my suit, had like a tie on. I walked down and I looked down this corridor, and all I see is the desks and guys that are in their 40s and 50s, bald, overweight, at their desk, hunched over, and not a sound, not one person sound. And all I could think about was, that will never be me. And that day I went home and built an e-commerce company. It was that day. And at the time I was really into fashion and really into like vintage clothing. And I was like, okay, I like that. This is hot. This is trendy. Again, it was kind of in the space of like partying and events and everything, like clothing for partying and events. I know this industry because I just partied all my teenage years. Let's go for this. And it was the same thing over and over again. So we can kind of go deeper in that, but I think like those earlier years were like super important to see like all the stuff that I've been doing for so long that just never worked. And that's a great part for this kind of conversation as well.
How do you know when something's a failure, and how do you know when to pivot, and how do you know when, do you know what, I'm just going to keep going? And I always come back to the visual of the miner, the diamond miner, and it's like just one more pick. How do you know when, okay, this isn't working, it's time to create something new? There's
two sides. Like, first happens slowly, then it happens all at once.
Yeah.
So when you look at the negative, like if you're seeing like tremors of things like, it's not working, then there's like a cataclysmic blow up. Typical example for me was we were importing clothes from Italy. We were storing them in my house, in my apartment. We had boxes left, right, and center. I was selling them and we were making good money, but we were spending a lot of money. And I remember we had inventory that would sit there and then it wouldn't sell. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with myself? Right. And this was happening over and over again. By the end of like a couple of months of this, I knew straight away that like this was wrong, right? There's something wrong happening here until like, big event happens. Cash flow is a massive issue.
Yeah.
The choke on the business is greater than the opportunity. And it's like, that's a massive red flag. The flip side of it then, one of my mentors, Simon Ree, who I also coach now, bear in mind, he said to me, like, when you're building something and you're at something for quite a while, like a year, if you're not getting any positive feedback, so the flip side of the negative is the positive. If you're not getting positive compounded growth with your small business, like things aren't just going to change overnight. So you either change the mechanism and modality or you change the vehicle. My preference initially is to check the mechanism, because even in our instances, like I work with hundreds of businesses right now. To me, looking into it, it's pretty damn obvious if it's not working. It's either like a leads issue, a sales issue, a delivery issue, or like an offer, product issue, content issue, sales issue. So I can spot it. And then it comes down to two different things, which is like, is this constraint an actual constraint? Are we actually committed to solving it? And then two is the person. I know many people, actually had a call with someone earlier, super experienced person, super smart person, like amazing at what they do, but they're just not committed to solving their own problem. And it's like, respectfully, I can't solve your problem for you. And if you don't want to solve it, how is anyone going to solve it?
Yeah.
You know, so I try to look at two different things, like really objectively. I try everything from like a system thinking perspective. Is it a person issue, or is it a like business problem? Again, as my co-founder Tom would say, is like every personal problem manifests itself as a business problem.
Yeah.
And then are we committed to actually solving that specific issue, you know? And I think the reason why I always prefaced my life before I was 23 years old is before I got into content. Because when I was younger, after the e-commerce failure, I went into software. Now I'm back in software now, thankfully. But as I did engineering, the opportunity is in software, and it has always been for me. So I went for it again, and I went to basically build it was a digital passport with governments. So it was like, you imagine your passport, a digital version. That's what I tried to build. And I was 22 at that time. And I couldn't crack it. And I just couldn't crack it. It was nothing. I remember distinctly how I knew I was fucked was because I was sitting in Dublin Airport outside the departure lounge, walking around people who are trying to get their documents, asking them would they use a digital passport. That's what I was using for my like research and discovery. And even though that was working really well, because I wasn't getting this signal back from the market that like, you know, the product was working, all this kind of stuff, we're on the way down. Because I preface all of that because then when I got into content, I changed as a person, characteristic trait. The mechanism changed. And then I knew, okay, mechanism plus the characteristic is kind of what we need here to develop an idea at the very least.
How did you, like you mentioned a couple of failures there, and obviously I feel like you view failure as a good thing, right? In a way, like rather than going, oh shit, that's it, I'm over with. Yeah, exactly right. You just go, okay, cool, that didn't work, and on to the next thing. How do you view failure and how do you keep going? Like, where's your drive come from?
So it's an amazing question. It's very simple. If you're not going to figure it out, what is the alternative?
Yep.
Go back to that 9 to 5. Go back to that job that you hated. Go back to having no money. Like, I know what it feels like to have no money. I grew up in a very, very low income household. I know what it feels like to be super broke. I know what it feels like to not have enough money to pay for the central heating in the house during winter. I am never going back there.
Yeah.
Ever. And it's like, okay, knowing that is the antithesis of the goal, what do I need to do today? Yeah, sure, the client didn't close. Yeah, someone churned. Yeah, they're not happy with something. Yeah, I need a refund. Whatever. It's like, now that that's taken care of, symptomatic, let's go fix the root cause and just get on with it. Because I think a lot of people are attaching their emotion and their feeling way too much to the business. Whereas I do feel like, yes, you need to be like heart-centered and like following your feelings, following your emotions to a degree in your life, but not in your business.
Yeah.
There are sometimes you can do things in your business that you don't feel aligned with. Just sometimes you're going to have to show up and do things that you're not happy with. And I even see this right now because for our agency specifically right now, we always viewed the agency, not always, but in the past 2 years, the agency has been a back-end offer for our clients and the coaching has been front.
Yeah.
Now, because I have a partner, we brought in a new partner into the agency, he's now going to go develop that. He's doing things that are new, novel, difficult, very hard to do, high failure rate, we're burning cash, so be it. We're committed to figuring out that problem because the antithesis is the agency fails. So it's like, okay, if we want to scale it and do some great things because we've set the kind of vision and the path of here's where we want to go to, here's the North Star. Okay, what do I need to do now personally and professionally to get there? And I think the kind of big switch for us, and it's really interesting you said it's like an overnight success, and I think it's a great way to put it because what's happened is we've actually just developed faster than anyone else.
Yeah.
Because I've realized that the market is very fickle in this like coaching, agency, online business space. So you have a few things. You get caught in the weeds.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing over and over again, which was our agency back in 2022, or you reinvent yourself. And I remember when my partner Tom came to me in like 2022, he was like, look, we have way too many leads to service in the agency. We have to do something that services them. Let's go into education and let's just crack it. And it took 2 years to crack it at like a very high level. It was always solid, but I mean at a high level, to the point that if I didn't make that decision because I had like a chip on my shoulder or I wasn't as adaptive, I would I wouldn't be here. Like quite literally, that would be the solution. And I think that's what set us up now going forward for the software, which is like, okay, now we have even bigger goals. You have to bite the bullet sometime. There's never a good time to get started. I can only get started today. Let's just get started today and just figure the rest of the stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to kind of be a bit more resilient with it too, right? Because it's kind of like I think your level of your problems is in proportion to how you handle the problem.
Yep.
Right. And I guess I like giving very tactical examples because I just want to be like as open as possible, right? For our software company right now, we got denied a bank account, like a big business bank account, 6 times over 2 months. And every single time it came back rejected, I was like, reapply, reapply. To the point that now it's approved and everything is approved properly under the new company. And I was like, all right, great. But what, 21-year-old me would have cried in the corner, right? And it's like, this is something small, but it's not small. It is big because it's big in the grand scheme of things. Everyone's problems is in proportion to the size of their own problems, right? So a corporate bank account is a big deal. And I'm there, reapply. And it's like adopting dumb energy. Yeah. It's like, this can only work out. And I am just not taking no as an answer, How
do you like, in that example, how do you go, fuck the feelings and do it anyway? Because like, 6 times to actually do something. At what point do you go, do you know what, maybe that's a sign? And this is where I'm like,
no, it's not a sign.
But when something doesn't work, you're like, okay, cool, that didn't work. I'll do it again. I'll do it again. And is it just like you're so locked into the vision of it? You're like, we're just going to push through, or do you go, okay, that's not going to work. Let's pivot. Like, how do you just go, fuck it, let's do it anyway?
So let's look at some tactical examples. Yeah. So the bank account. It's like, we need a bank account. It needs to be based in America. It's an American-based company. This has to work.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong that we need to figure out. We need to speak to like a lawyer, regulation person. We got to figure it out. But it has to be done.
Yep.
It's like there's no alternative. Whereas like creating memes, which are also valuable, if they're not hitting, it's like, to my wife, I'm like, let's just stop doing it for a bit. And it's like, that's something and it's actually, you'll actually really enjoy this. It's, the decision-making process is a 2-way door versus a 1-way door decision-making process. So a 1-way decision process is something you can't undo. Yeah. If I decided to fire my COO tomorrow, I can't undo that.
Yeah.
Same with being married. If I get divorced, I can't undivorce myself. I don't know, is that possible? But a 2-way door decision we want to make fast, right? Creating memes. The memes are working, great. They're not working, cut them. We can go back on them.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's great. So I like to view everything through that lens, And if we have problems in the business, which you all often do, and if I have a problem with someone in the business, I'll sit them down and be like, all right, I love you, I respect you. Here's what I'm going to talk to you about. We're going to hammer through this, and afterwards then we're going to hug and we'll be fine.
Yeah. So
that's a 2-way door thing, which is like we need to kind of work through that versus like, I don't like what's happening here. It's over.
Yeah.
And then I think again, back to the vision, back to the mission as well. I think what's interesting in this space is, and something I've really, really, really observed and we're really doubling down on, is your mission and vision is not to make a bunch of money. Your mission and vision is to help people through your product or service. So our goal is to help business owners scale profitably and aggressively, because I feel like that a lot of these businesses could be making a lot more money. They're just not doing it right away. Yeah. That is my highest vision. My actions to get there reflect that daily, hopefully. The results we get also emulate the vision. So it brings it from like mind to body to like actual action. And then the byproduct of that is, of course, that we get wealthy. Like, of course it is. But I'm saying if we started from the perspective of like, I want to get wealthy, it's like we're all screwed. Like society is like screwed, right? And again, we're not like super like altruistic at the end of the day. Like you do have your own internal drivers, but I do believe like just internal desires to see a bigger Stripe account won't keep you in this space for how long we've been doing it. It's been 5 years we've been hammering this at like a pretty high level for 5 years. Yeah. That a lot of this has to come from the mission and the vision being dialed in. Otherwise there's no point.
Yeah, it gives you purpose to show up every day, right?
Yeah.
What's your perspective on hustle culture? And it's an interesting conversation and perspective. And the reason I ask this, because I've spoken to like a few, just not necessarily on the podcast, a few people around, in a way, a barrier to entry that you have to like have an element of hustle culture and like drive and do the long hours and have like the greater output on a daily basis until you reach a certain point. Then you can go, okay, cool. I can either A, I'm burnt out and that's not the way I want to do business, or B, it's like, okay, cool. Now I can bring more people in to help support and drive and scale further. Do you feel to be successful that you do have an element of hustle? And I hate the word hustle, but I don't know the best way to describe it. But do you feel like that to be successful, you actually do need to have that element?
To be successful, you have to determine what is success to you.
Yeah.
Because how else do you know what success is? Success to someone could be having kids. I don't want to have children. So that isn't a barometer of success to me.
Yeah.
Success to someone else could be leaving their corporate job and just making 6 figures a year, like 100K a year, and living in Bali. And if that's success to you and that brings you pure happiness, amazing. Success to me is building a software company that I can exit and building our own company to 8 figures a year and helping thousands of people in the process. Based on my level of success that I want to attain depends on the roadmap that I need. The roadmap to make 100K a year business is wildly different to do 10 million a year. Wildly different. Once you agree on that roadmap, and then you have to make the commitment to get there. So I had a post the other day about how we moved 100% back into in-office in Q3. So we've moved 100% of our team back to in-office. And the results have been crazy. Yeah. We made the most amount of money. We've had no cultural issues. We've had no retention. I finish most days like 5 o'clock, which is very rare for me. And we're moving towards like our bigger goal and our biggest vision. That is a nightmare for someone who doesn't want to scale. But for us, it's aligned to what we want. Yeah. So it's the sacrifices we need to make so that we can get there. And it's the same with your fitness. You know, as you know, you could eat well-ish, train 4 days a week, look great. But you will never be able to be a competitive athlete. Yeah. That's obvious. It's the same with your business. So it's like, which game are we playing? And what is it that we're doing to get there? Because the game that I want to play is like quite a large game. Because like I'm like young, right? I got all my arms, got all my limbs, like I'm energy out the top of my head every day. So for me, I'm not really interested in anything else. So this is the thing that I want to commit to. And then it's like, okay, great. If we have decided to commit to that, that is the game that you are playing, and you're in that world. And then it's like less about are you hustling or not. It's like, are you just doing what you're meant to do to get there? And then the other side of it then is like, if you looked at pure people who are starting from scratch, the reason why you need to like hustle or work harder is a variety of things. But there's the skill issue. You just purely lack the skill. Marketing, which is content. Sales, which is sales. And product creation, which is offers or services. You just lack those 3 vital buckets. Yeah. And you can get there like you have with a compression of time of really squeezing that down with forced learning, forced execution. Or you can get there over 10 years with light work, but you still get to the same outcome. And I had an example about this when I talked about, I was talking about sales calls. Yeah. So like this kind of like online space, like it's not rocket science. Arguably, it's way easier than anything else. Like it's just way easier than anything else. But there's a big issue with the level of activity. So this kind of really answers your question. I truly believe that people are operating like 10% of their activity that they should be. And I know that through volume. Yeah. So let me give you a simple example. Taking sales calls. People are scared of taking sales calls. The fear doesn't come from talking to someone or asking someone to buy something. The fear comes from a lack of experience. So if your activity, e.g. the volume, is low, let's say you take 1 call a week. That's 52 calls in a year. Yeah. Or if you take 1 call a day on weekdays, only weekdays, in a quarter, you've already produced more call volume. Yeah. So in 3 months, you did more than someone else in a year. But not only that, because you were doing it every day, you were forcefully thinking about it. The mind was connected to the body. You were really in flow. Not only is the volume better, but the quality is better. And it's the same analogy with fitness, and it's the same with your business. So reps. To kind of answer your question is like, if we look at it again from an inputs perspective, is the input you're doing right now necessary to get the success that you want? Have you defined what success means to you? And if that is like making 100K a year, well, yes, the inputs are quite low.
Yep.
But if it's kind of like what we want to do, inputs are they're almost never going to be enough. You know, yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yeah,
it's very contextual, right?
It's a good way that you actually explain that, because like I've been thinking about success and what that means to me as well, and what level of business do I want to be. And right now, like I'm a solopreneur, and I want to get your take on solopreneurs in a second. But it's me, right? And it's me learning everything, doing everything, where I feel like with business, people leave corporate and start a business because they're good at the delivery side. But to get to delivery, you have to learn business. And you have to learn the marketing, you have to learn the sales and everything like that. And that for me, I'm like, whoa, that's the biggest like growth piece, is because you have to show up online, you have to overcome your fears, like all of that stuff, because you know that you can do the output, but it's everything that is the business, because that's nothing if you don't have the front part, right? So yeah, that's a massive learning curve, I think, in itself when someone is starting a business, is they have to learn everything.
So I talk about this a lot, which is you have experience, you have expertise, you love what you do, but people don't appreciate it. And you don't appreciate it because they don't see it enough through your marketing. Your marketing isn't making you visible, and you never learn sales. So it doesn't matter how good you are doing delivery. If you can't get people through the door, it doesn't matter. And that's the issue. That's the issue with people being experienced, is that it's a curse of granted knowledge, which works it's a double-edged sword. Curse of granted knowledge means you don't appreciate how much someone appreciates your skill, but then you also undervalue how difficult things can be. Yeah. Which is like a massive red flag of a characteristic trait, is to think like, oh, because I'm good at X, I'll be good at Y. Yeah. The best example is, I think it was LeBron James, played basketball, went into baseball, was shit at baseball, couldn't do it. And it's like, not all skills are transferable. Yeah. You know, it's good you can pull from things, but not all skills are directly transferable. What was the second question you had?
What's your thoughts on solopreneur?
So I thought about this really deeply yesterday for, I don't know why. I think it's because we have a lot of people in Apex right now, which is like my mentorship. It started as a sales program. It actually didn't. It started as a scaling program, and then it moved into a sales program. And now we've kind of got rid of the sales program, and now we've gone back to just like growing the business more, basically. And Daniel Priestley's words, not mine. He says solopreneurship isn't a business. He said solopreneurship, it's not a business, because if you remove yourself, it's out. I wouldn't go as far as that, but I would say be more cautious of the identity. Because the second you identify as something is the second you bring in all the beliefs and all these predisposed beliefs that are put on you. Now, whether you consciously or unconsciously do that, it's another thing. But it's like calling yourself a coach, an agency owner, a tech founder. It's like, I'm neither of those things. I'm just a human, and I just do things.
It's a limiting label.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like our software company right now is me and my developer. Are we solopreneurs? Like, I don't know. Like, why does it matter? Yeah. It's more like, can you get the goal that you want through a minimum effective dose? So what's the minimum amount you need to do, quite literally, to get the result that you need? You know? For me, and one of our programs that I run, like Apex, I literally get show up on Zoom calls 3 times a week, and we do some WhatsApp support. But it is a minimum effective dose, and it's effective to get them the result. If anything, if I put more into it, it would actually have an inverse relationship. I put people under pressure, and then they wouldn't get the result at all, right? So that's kind of an interesting dilemma to think about from the other perspective. But I say all this because I have a lot of people that I work through this kind of mindset with, which is, why do you want 100% of 100K a year when you can have 75% of 3 million? I just don't understand it. And it would just never become known to me. Because for the 75%, you develop younger talent who love you, respect you, want to be with you, they look up to you. It creates a better flywheel for you. You have more enjoyment. The good days are great. The bad days are still good, because you're not on your own doing it. Yeah. And even in the beginning, when I just had the agency on my own, I carried like a lot of that burden myself. And it was just so difficult when things weren't going well, you know? And like my wife actually learned a lot about the business, which is why she's like very integrated to it now. But it was really because like me. And I think you just got to be careful, like, where does the source come from? Even like me, like the source of me. It's like, what is the intention? Yeah. Because I think solopreneurship really was valuable for people that were like 40 that were crazy experienced. I mean, like a CFO. I'll give a perfect example.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say the guy, but one of my network guys, he teaches people how to be a solopreneur, and he's really good at what he does. I have a couple people who got to do this, so it's not like anyone knows who it is. But the CFO with 20 years experience in corporate finance, and now he's a CFO, and he's making $200K a year, which actually isn't that much, and he works 100 hours a week, and he missed all his kids' birthdays. That person leaves that job, does fractional CFO work for 4 or 5 different scale-up companies. He makes $600K a year, and he gets to go to his kid's baseball game and everything. Makes sense, perfect. But giving that advice to someone who's just a kid, who's just starting, is so dangerous. It's so dangerous. Why? Because they don't have the experience, they don't have the expertise, and they don't have the ability. So they don't have the ability or the experience. So you got to be really careful with contextual advice. And this is where my friend like Matt Lakovich, like we vibe a lot on a lot of things, and I think this was something we really do agree on, which is just like every bit of advice has to be very contextual.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, is it it's like this strategy doesn't work. It's like, okay, but B2B real estate is very different than B2C relationship coaching. Yeah. And I think we need a bit more discernment in terms of what we're doing, and even like what I'm saying now, how I'm describing this, it just depends again like on what you're trying to do, because I think the worst thing you can do is adopt the philosophy around solopreneurship or whatever at work 16 hours a day. And I'll tell you an example. I have this woman who just joined Apex, and she's a lovely woman. Her mother was in hospital, and during that period of hospital, the woman was barely with her because she had to do the work as a solopreneur.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't I just give you an EA for $800 and then you can just spend time with your mother who's like struggling right now? She's like, okay, I never thought about that. You know, so it's like people really find it hard to see the woods between the trees, or whatever the expression is. And that is literally why you literally need to work with someone.
Yeah.
You know, for someone to be like, that's not okay. You know, like people call me out of my shit all the time, like my team, vice versa. It's like some things are just not okay. Yeah. You know, and I like to think about this stuff really deeply, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting that you just said that example about that woman. And I'm like, I wonder as well if people feel like they have to do it alone, and it's harder to ask for help or harder to receive help. So for you to say, why don't I do that? It's actually a permission piece for her to be able to take on the support rather than actually asking for it. And I don't know if that is a female trait around receivership and permission, or I don't know if also you find it like with like the men in your programs as well, or the guys you work with. 70%
women.
Sorry?
We have 70% of women we work with. 70.
That's crazy. I love that.
70% of my clients are women. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think, I'd like for you to expand on the receivership thing, because I've never heard of that.
So I think I'm going to talk from my perspective for a moment. So I have I've like been on my journey of personal development for quite a number of years, and through that I've done a lot of learning and unlearning of behavioral traits. From such a young age, I built a very hyper independence person, and I would be very much like, I don't need to ask for help because I don't want to be let down. So I wanted to build a level of success that I had created on my own without relying on someone.
Okay.
So I had this hyper independence, and I like feel like it's a lot of women have that. It's like I have to be and do it all right. I can't ask for help because maybe it's seen as a bad thing to actually.
Is that like a masculine trait where it's
masculine
like,
trait?
I'm just going to like run at this myself.
Yeah, so it's a masculine trait. We've got a masculine shield on, right? And we're very much in our masculine, in the doing, because we feel like we have to do everything. So, and it's around the people that are around you at the same time. So for me, it's about learning to trust myself, learning to trust other people, actually asking for support. But when someone offers me support, me saying yes. And then that's opening up to receivership and knowing that there's other people around me to support me as well. And it can be something so simple. And for me, like I'm still, being open to that. And it's little things like when someone says, oh, can I buy you this coffee? Natural reaction for me in the past would be like, oh no, it's okay, I've got this. Or me thinking I now owe you something because you're you're offering to buy me a coffee, and like then I'll remember that, right? But it's like if someone offers me something like, hey, I'll grab this coffee, okay, thank you. So it's actually opening myself up to receivership and pushing me back into a feminine trait. And it's something as simple as like, you know, opening up the door. I know I can open up the door, but if you open up the door for me, of course I'm going to say yes, rather than going, it's okay. Like it's just little things like that that are breaking down the barrier to actually allow people to support you. And that's where a lot of masculine and feminine dynamics come into play at the same time. And because like if I say no to you, I'm just going to use you as an example, but if I say no to you, then you're like, okay, she doesn't need me. Do you know what I mean? So it plays out a lot in all areas of life, in relationships as well. And it plays out in business, it plays out in corporate, it plays out in so many different things. And that's where the doing culture comes into play rather than the being as well, which is the masculine and the feminine as well.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess the balance of it too. Do you know my client Sophia Bernardi? She's from Gold Coast as well.
No.
I definitely have to link you up with her. She's awesome. But what I love about her is that she's an absolute killer. Like she's an animal. She made like 100K a month for the past 2 months in a row.
Yeah.
Her, a VA, and an ads guy.
Yeah.
But she's super, super feminine. She's very chill, very relaxed, very open to feedback.
Yeah.
I'd always like suggest something to her and she like hears it really clearly.
Yeah.
And I always observe her. I'm like, she's done a lot on her mindset.
Yeah.
Which is why she's like awesome. And then obviously she knows how to like push in the business.
Yeah.
She's like 8 sales calls in a day.
Yeah.
But then also she's just like very chill.
Yeah.
So I think, again, that's how you get to the next layer of your business. Is by your business a reflection of you. So because Sophia is very in tune with how she feels and how she shows up and what she wants, more specifically in her business, she's able to hammer it and get the result. It's an awareness piece.
Yeah.
You know, and then if you flip that, someone then who's not aware, who just doesn't have the conscientiousness, that's when they start running into issues.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I love the conversation around masculine and femininity, especially in business. And I was actually having this conversation the other day as well, is because I feel like there's a lot of female coaches that are like, oh, you've got to be in flow and I will do it when I feel like it. So it's very intuitive and a felt experience, right? And then I'm like, it's still business. Like you still need action, which is very masculine traits. And one of the reasons I came to you is because of the systems and the processes and things like that, which is very masculine, which is that you need that element to hold your business so then you can flow through it.
It's
and
like
so I
logic versus emotion.
Yeah, literally. And where I find it interesting where some female coaches and it's always good conversation starter, I feel. They're like, well, you just have to be and whatever, like it's like attraction marketing rather than marketing. So you pull people in rather than you like go out, where you're very much like DMs, like have conversations, stuff like that, where feminine is around attraction. And I was like, okay, so which way is the best way when it comes to you being in your feminine and creating a business that feels right, but then at the same time you want to be highly successful, which is very masculine trait. Like it's just interesting.
Let me double tap on that because I have something cool to add to this.
Yeah.
So there's not one way that's right. It's a combination of both. So if you take Liz, that we both know, Liz is learning the logical side, so the masculine side of how to get things done from a systems perspective. And as a result, has been more feminine with me. Because she's allowing herself to be like, okay, she's embracing this side, and that allows her to be more open.
Yeah.
If she feels like vulnerable or if she feels sad or she feels whatever, she'll say it.
Yeah.
But she feels comfortable to say it versus before like putting up a guard.
Yeah.
And then just being like, yeah, I'll figure it out. It's like she's able to realize, because I'm able to understand like the heartbeat to say like, okay, yeah, like this shit's tough. Let's work through this together. And then she's like more open about it. So it's interesting, right? You lean into the logical side and you get you get the reverse effect.
Yeah.
The person's more emotive or feminine, otherwise known as. So it's like you need both. And that's what works really well with me and Tom. Yeah. Right? Tom is much more on the emotion side, I'm much more on the logic side, but then it also swaps.
Yeah.
Too, right? if someone's like not pulling their weight, Tom will call them out.
Yep.
And then vice versa, if someone needs support, I'll provide that support. So it works both ways. So it's less like one or the other. It's like in tandem. It's like a tango dance, right? It has to go.
Well, you need it all, right? To be, I guess, yeah.
And if you don't have it all, you end up a sociopath.
Yeah.
Or you end up way too hyper emotive.
Yeah.
And then as I said at the beginning, there's too much feelings in the business.
Yeah.
The feelings shroud the work to the point that there's no work that gets done.
Yeah.
Because you spend all day crying about the business.
Yeah.
It's like, that doesn't fucking help anyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you need to share your emotions, 100%. But there comes a point where you got to actually do the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the reason why I've been like extremely high octane, like high energy, high action orientated, like the guys that I work with would say that, like I would do something in the moment. And the reason being is because I am actually an anxious person, but I'm not anxious when I do the shit.
Yeah.
So I've learned that if I need to check something with the ads, if I just go in and check it, it's done.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. Not anymore, but well, hopefully not anymore, but I still run the payroll for the team, and it drags a few days. Like there's delays here, there's delays there, so it might be like 7 days that's happening. I always hate that period of time because I know that like something's coming in, I need to do this, I need to do this. Whereas if I just did it on the first, I wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Same outcome, actually better outcome, same amount of money, so same quantity, but the headspace is all cleared up. So it's like, how much are you letting your business infiltrate your mind?
Yeah.
Versus how much boundaries are you putting on, not so that you can sit on the beach and drink a coconut, but so you can just get on with it.
What do you mean? That's been my lifestyle for the last couple of weeks.
But just so you can get on with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with someone that I didn't want to have yesterday about like work behavior and so on. And what I said was, I don't want to have this. You don't want to have this. This is net negative for your work and for the overall outcome that we're trying to desire.
Yeah.
So let's just get the fuck on with it, get over it, and move on.
Yeah.
And that's a logical response to an emotional conversation. And yeah, it's just a tandem overall. But the reason why I'm really kind of big on this too is like you can see that like I'm passionate about this too, but from a different lens, is because this is what leadership is.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, leadership isn't like going up and talking to someone and saying your values and writing on the wall. It's like embodying it.
Yeah.
You have to embody it. So for your clients, for your prospects, for your fans on social media that are like just viewing, and then for your team. And we talk about this a lot in the program, which is like one of the biggest benefits that people get is just respectfully being around our energy. And that's what your clients get too. Is they're like, okay, I want to emulate your traits. That's a big thing. It's a huge, huge thing. It's the reason why a personal trainer lives in your house with you if you're getting ready for a fight. It's because you want to get to that point. It's why you work in an office. It's you bring up that barometer and then you kind of set that standard from there. Yeah.
There's two things I just want to touch on then. Like you were mentioning about the thinking side of it. That's how people get into a state of overwhelm, is because they're constantly thinking about the thing and all the next step, and they're in a constant loop that then creates inaction. As soon as you take that one step, it starts to build momentum, and it actually then has the ripple effect of it all as well. So if you're someone that who's listening to this, that you're constantly in a state of overwhelm, just take one action and get out of your head into the doing. And then like that actually helps as well, because you then build momentum, and then everything flows on from that. The other thing as well, like you mentioned about embodiment, right? Which I feel like it's such a big thing. And one of the reasons I wanted to work with you is because I started a podcast, and you are an embodiment of what you teach. You've got a podcast, you've got the business, you're very hands-on. You're not just like, hey, I did this thing and this is what I did. You're actually
doing.
Yeah, you're doing. And I honestly believe that you are very much, you want to see people win. And everything that you share is from learnt experience at the same time of you growing your business, and you're just sharing that advice. How do you take on, or what's the embodiment piece mean to you, and how do you continuously work on that to make sure that you're an embodiment of that, as well as take on, I was even going to say a millionaire mindset, but I feel like you're beyond that now. But how do you adopt that mindset as well?
I started the conversation talking about like what I done when I was younger, because what I want to try to emphasize is the characteristic trait, not the outcome. Because it's the trait that you want to adopt versus I did this thing specifically, whether it's YouTube or a podcast or a business. So it doesn't matter. Like my background was actually in sport, and I wanted to be a professional athlete, and I wanted to be a professional sprinter until I blew up my kneecap like everyone else. But the way I think about it is the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you're someone who's done well in sport, done well in school, done well at something that you weren't inherently good at, not a natural flair for something, that's the barometer of like what you want to perpetuate throughout your entire life, you know? And that's how we want to maintain that high ability. So it's kind of double tapping in on that so that you know that you've developed competency in one domain, which brings up confidence, and you can try new things and know that like, look, I suck at this now, but the competency is going to go up, and then my confidence will go up. Confidence precedes competency. And I want to just emulate that over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's less about the minutia, especially because like AI, tech, automation is so much easier now. It's less about the minutia and more about the execution. And more about, is this something that I see myself doing 1,000 reps of, 1,000 episodes of, 1,000 releases of?
Yeah.
And it gives me like a lot of solace to be like, I'm playing a game versus playing the outcome.
Yeah.
Like with our software right now, we're losing so much money. Every month we just like lose so much money in development costs. And we're still viewing it as like, this is like a fun game. Yeah. You know?
Price of entry.
Yeah. And like, I look at the software and it like changes color and the graph changes. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm like, yeah, it's cost me so much money. But I'm like, look at it, it's green. I'm like, the graph is green. And I'm like, that's just way much more enjoyable than like suffering in like misery loves company, right? And I think I grew up around like that like really bad environment when I was younger, where it's like everything's against us, like victim mentality, the government is against us, like tax is against us, like oh the weather is shit, like all that stuff is like what I grew up in for so long that I just want the opposite of it. So it's literally just like positive thinking about it. And it's like, okay, this sucks, undoubtedly. Something's going to go wrong. But look at the journey we're on. Like, it's amazing, you know? And, like, we're here, and it's, like, amazing, like, what we've done. Yeah. And, like, that's why I try to, as you said, embodiment is, like, I have to enjoy it. I have to love it. And then that's what people are emulating it off continuously. And you made a very good point about not what I've done, but what I'm doing. Yeah. You know? How do we layer things on? That's the most important thing you can do. You know, it's the most important thing you can do. And yeah, because like I always say the best example is yourself, right? The best case study is yourself. I remember back in the day when I'd hop on sales calls for the agency, they would be like, oh, like how do I know you can grow my podcast or grow my YouTube channel? And I go, I'll show you. I screen share it and I go onto my YouTube channel. And I'd be like, this is my channel. And they'd be like, but where's all the case studies? I'm like, I am the case study. I'm like, I am the case study. I'm like, you want to see some random dude in HR as a case study, or do you want to see me? And then they were like, oh, I want to see that guy. I'm like, no. You want to see me. Here's all my videos. Here's all my thumbnails. I wrote all the titles. I script all the videos. Here's it. I can do this for you. I'm like, all right, cool. It's like a fat personal trainer. It's like, why would you hire a fat personal trainer even if they work with some like good people? It's like you want to look at that person initially. Yeah. And everything else comes off it. And the final point I make on this is, in like a world of mediocrity, people love people who are obsessed. Yeah. So if you're obsessed about door hinges and you go home and you watch on YouTube different ways to create new door hinges, you will attract people who love door hinges. Yeah. You will. And you'll attract a tribe. You can start a mastermind with the whole thing. Yeah. And you can start a community about it. How do I know that's true? Because my father-in-law owns a landscaping business, what he did before he sold it. And he would basically meet with like grannies and they would talk about plants. And they were like 60 years old, 70 years old. They were talking, he's like a 50-year-old man. They're like 70. They're talking about like bushes and plants and stuff. And that was like the perfect example for me where I was like, fuck me. Because he loves plants and pottery and shit. And I was like, if you can do that, you can do anything. Yeah. Right? With conviction. Right? Obsession, conviction. Yes. You believe in it. And you're like, this is going to work, you know? Like I'm doing demo calls for a software company right now. And I've never had one objection on the call. I get on and I'm like, this is going to work. And I go through it. And I'm like, this is going to show make you so much money. I'm like, look at it. And they're like, yeah, I mean, I've never had one objection. I've done like 40 demo calls in the past month. No one has ever given me an objection. Yeah. Product's not even built. And I'm like, This is it. And they're just like, this guy has high conviction. It's obviously going to work, and it solves a real problem. And they're like, fuck me, I want to be around this energy. And that's generally the feedback that we get, is like
self-belief.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's actually tougher now, because now that we have a huge sales team, I'm not doing that from the top.
Yeah.
But my feedback to everyone that I work with is you have to make it fun.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, if someone is coming to buy your product or service, they're seeing like, do I see traits in this person, whether it's a salesperson or whether it's the founder? It's like, does this guy live an identity that I want to get to? Now, I don't mean like being on the beach in Bali, but I mean just a characteristic trait.
Yeah.
Is he married? Is he interested in what he's doing? Is he interested in fitness? You know, does he have a well-rounded relationship? Does he have a business that I want to emulate? Like, what is the thing?
Yeah.
It can be anything. But that's where you don't want to be a broke financial advisor, a fat personal trainer, or a divorce relationship coach. It's like all those individual things, obviously there's nuance, but in isolation, like, they're the antithesis of the goal you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a question. Where was I going with that? I have so many. Every time you say something, I'm like, oh my God, I've got so many other questions that I want to like go on and spend. Yeah, I know it is. You have worked with a lot of highly successful people, and you've got your own podcast and interviewed some of the best people in the world, in my opinion, as well. What do you think is a common personality trait of all of those people in terms of their success?
Dumb energy. It's just the ability to wake up, not care about the consequences, not care about the result, not care about the impact, not care about making people happy, but to do the thing.
Yeah.
And it's just that elimination of any bit of time or delay or self-doubt. Like, I literally do not think about anything. I just do it.
Yeah.
Just wake up and I'm like, yeah, this is a general idea. Vroom. If it paints into like where we want to get to, paints into what we want to achieve. It's like, perfect, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
So the more you ruminate and you go around, I call it like mental masturbation, the more you do that, the less progress you're going to make. You just have to like really have like that straight wavering approach. And I mean, like, and you don't need to be hyper masculine for this. You can have a combination, and I'm going to show you examples. So Liz is a great example. She's very like heart-centered, but she does it. Okay, that's the biggest thing. She does it. She does the act. Sahil Bloom. Sahil is a good friend of mine. He's an animal. Like, he's an absolute animal. Yeah. He has one son. He's married. He has a book. He has several different businesses under his portfolio company. He's up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day. Do you think he thinks about how he feels about it? No, he just does it.
He just does it.
You know, he's in that ice bath every morning, and I'm like, fucking hell, bro. I don't think I even get in that thing. And it's like, and he's a super well-rounded guy. He's like the guy that created it being well-rounded.
Yeah.
So there's like, these are guys that are like family focused, relationship focused, health focused, but they just do the fucking thing. And it's funny because like, I know Sal pretty well, and it's just, it's interesting to observe because like he's at home and his kid's at 4.
Yeah.
You know, he picks up his kid from, he actually has daycare at home, but he walks the kid in the evening. I know that to be true all the time. You always see in his stories. So what I'm saying is you can have both if you get the fuck out of your way. And I actually say this a lot to people. Yeah. I think I've said this to you too.
Probably.
Which is like, the thing is hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
The business, the actual, like the doing is going to be so rough and so tough. So stop thinking about the doing. Because if you find that tough, fuck me, when you start doing the doing, you're gonna be in a world of pain. Yeah. Where it's like, if you just sit in the doing part, you just beat all this thinking stuff over the first hurdle, and then you're into the real world. And this is where you go from like learning to action, but action is a learned experience. Yeah. You know, like, why do you need to learn how to run Facebook ads, or like the latest thing with Facebook ads, whereas you can just run them, and then you just realize you're not making money, and be like, oh my fucking God, I gotta make this change here. Done. Perfect. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, like that's hyper logic, right?
Yeah. Do you believe that anyone can be successful in business?
No. There's this, it's more on a characteristic trait, right? Yeah. Like, so let's look at it statistically, right? The way that the bell curve is actually broken out based on whatever barometer. We'll use a few things. Let's just use like IQ. That's going to be bell curved out. Ability is going to be bell curved out. Interests as well, in terms of what the interests are, right? if you are someone who's just like literally do not want to do the work, like you're screwed. Right?
Yeah.
You're just going to be screwed. But if you do have the characteristic traits, you will be able to crack it. You know, so it's not like we're trying to get to Mars, but we do need, there are some like non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we can't get those in place, we are screwed. You know, and it's like, I can't save you, someone else can't save you.
Yeah.
And I know this to be true because with our agency, we don't use this term anymore for the following reason, but an agency is done for you.
Yeah.
That means it's easier to sign a client because clients put the trust in you, whereas coaching is done with you. They have to put the trust in themselves.
Yeah.
So in an agency, when you mess up, they blame you. In coaching, when they mess up, they can only blame themselves.
Mm.
And why that's important is because if you don't set a boundary with agency, people will say, well, look, you said you do everything and it was done for you. So it's your fault, not mine. Whereas what we do instead is we call it 80-10-10. It's 80% our work, 10% your brand, and 10% your work.
Yeah.
So ultimately, like, this is your business. So if you're not going to show up to the calls, you're not going to record the material, you're not going to do stuff, you're fucked anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because if the first hurdle is, let's say in our instance, the content being created, and if you're not doing it, how can we help you?
Yeah.
You know, and we have to look at this from like a very logical perspective. It's like, no one can help you. You know, praying can't help you, wishing can't help you, going to the gym can't help you, losing body fat can't help you. Like none of that stuff can help you apart from if you're actually just doing the thing you need to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's really, really interesting, right? Like that is like the crux of why people don't succeed. It's not like the business model.
It's like them getting in their own way of actually unlocking that next level of success.
Or just doing anything.
Yeah.
You know, like look, what's the constraint in a business? And especially for a founder, it's usually themselves.
Yeah.
How do I get it right or get it in my way?
Yeah. With like the entry, the cost, hang on, let me like make sure I'm articulating this the right way. For starting an online business right now, it's like the easiest way to get, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's the barriers to entry are being lower.
Yeah, the barrier to entry is the lowest it's ever been for online businesses. If someone is listening, whoever's listening to this and they're like, okay, I want to create an online business, what would be 2 things that they would need to focus on to actually start an online business?
Good point. It's a great point. So the first thing is the offer.
Yeah.
Right? The offer has to be dialed in no matter what. And I know this because you can't create content unless the offer is dialed in.
Yeah.
So as like I say, it has to solve a painful problem for a specific user that's easy to find online. Ideally, leveraging your experience. So the worst example is a guy who's 21 years old, starts an agency and does a nail salon ads. It's like, you don't even have nails. And now you're running ads for nail salons for kiddies' nails. It's like, that's also just never going to work, right? It's not like, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's tough, right? I want to follow like in my interests. So for me, with the content agency, it was very clear that, okay, this was something that I knew and I knew the space really well. So because I have product knowledge, the skill of business, sales and marketing, I can learn, and then I have the characteristic. So that's 100% the most important part. Ideally, if you get the product right, the offer right, the rest of the stuff is 1, easy, but 2, it's almost like not as necessary because you know that it's really, really dialed in. You just need the right people to come at you.
Yeah.
So just really doubling tap on that offer part. It's like, you got to really think about what is that product and service? What is the duration? And then most importantly, what's the transformation?
Yeah.
Like, what are we actually getting for someone? Like, you're not selling someone an agency service, you're selling them the outcome.
Yeah.
And as I always say, you could, if I got people leads by licking the window, they would do it.
Yeah.
So it's not product or coaching or agency work. It's solving the problem. So looking backwards in the problem. So if I'm a fitness coach and if I'm someone in fitness and I know I can help people lose body fat, that's a great problem. A lot of people overweight. How do we create that transformation? How do we work backwards? How do we make that appealing? How do we make the pricing attractive? And how do we make it new, unique, novel, and different? That's it. If we can have that dialed in, we know that we have things that are really dialed. So I'll give you an example. I'm working with a client right now in Apex, and he has a recruitment agency. Recruitment is just traditionally really boring. Yeah. I was like, we got to make this fun and sexy. So he gets good results. That's fine. So now we started doing like offers for recruitment. Buy 2, get 1 free. 1 is 10% off, 3 is 30% off placements. That is very disruptive to a traditional business. And he's having fun running it. We're going back and forth on WhatsApp. We're running it together. People that are like putting their hand up. And then the best part about this for that offer is if they're not even hiring, they can prepay and utilize it in 2026. So he's going to get a massive cash injection.
Yeah, wow.
And because he solves a problem, which is hiring, the offer is good, they're getting a discount, the transformation is there, and they can use it whenever. So they buy like tokens. So they send them $16,000, they get $25,000 worth of tokens, and they can utilize it in 2026. So that is super important, because even for this gentleman in particular, the next stage is content.
Yeah.
Which is, once the offer's done, we need awareness, marketing, to solve that issue. And if you take a step back, have you ever been to the UK?
No.
So back in the day in Hyde Park, there would be guys that would like tell stories and call out the newspaper and sell like insurance and everything, and they would do it on a box. So they would have a little milk box, you put like milk bottles in, and they would stand on the box in like Hyde Park or whatever, and they would just scream. And then they would develop a crowd, and they would tell stories, and they would do different things. What were they doing? They were marketing. They had awareness. They knew footfall, which is traffic from the internet. They could garner the attention and then deliver a message, paid or unpaid.
Yeah.
Whereas what I like to say is that equivalent right now, the analogy, is your free content, and your free content needs to be better than most people's paid content.
Yeah.
And if that can emulate the offer, all you got to do is have all that content hit exactly what you're going to give someone. So we use the recruitment thing. The content is simply, why should someone hire? What's the benefits? What's the cost of not doing it? How long does traditional recruitment cost and take? And how does that wrap into the offer? Because all we're trying to do is bring prospects from a 0 to 10 awareness up to like an 8, whereby at 8, they're ready to get on a call, and they're like, okay, I just need to know the semantics, the small things. And if you can crack the two of those with the offer and the content side, and you do it long enough, you'll sleep easy at night.
Yeah.
Because you know that you can flex the muscle, and content is 100% a muscle.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that you just get better with. And I've seen it with your podcast too, right? Like you've just gotten more comfortable, quite literally, in the chair.
Yeah. And
you've gotten more competent.
Yeah.
And it only goes up. And the best part about this is that is, like, what I like to say is you're not creating content. You're actually just marketing.
Yeah. And
this marketing will allow you to do speaker trainings, in-person events, conferences, anything. Like anything. And we fine-tune it over time, right? But at the end of the day, that's a pretty solid offer. Yeah. All from just creating content.
Yeah, you make it sound so easy, which is great.
But compartmentalize.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if anyone listening or for yourself, right, where is the biggest issue right now?
Yeah.
Is it on the content side? Is it on the offer side? Is it on the sales side?
Yeah.
It's only... Like, I think, like, I feel like I've, like, seen through the vortex, because, like, it's literally only in those 3 spots. Yeah. And there's obviously sub factors underneath, but there is no other. Yeah. There's nothing. Like, there's just nothing else involved. Yeah. It's just those 3 things. And that gives me so much peace to think, like, okay, where is the issue right now? And what do I need to do? Yeah. And
I feel like for you, and that's your business as well, like you're such in your zone of genius as well that you can actually see it, where when you're in it and you're in your own business, you don't necessarily see your own blind spots. Yeah. Where getting an outsider's perspective and viewpoint on it as well, like you actually do see it from a different perspective as well. I have 2 more questions. Okay. Oh, were you going to say something else?
I was just going to add like that, it's your job as a business owner to find that issue. Yeah. Right. So, if you're listening to this and you're thinking like, well, it's easy for him to say he's been doing this for years. Yeah. Like with our software company, and why I reference it is because that's the same thing as many other people. And right now, we don't have a sales issue. We don't have a leads issue. We just have a product issue, which has to get built. Yeah. And has to be like, bulletproof basically. So just, bulletproof. So if that's the only issue, put everything to the side for now. Let's just focus on nailing product. And if that's nailed, well, that's going to set up the marketing.
Yeah.
It's going to set, because when that's done, I can market harder back to the product. I can sell harder back to the product. If the product breaks again, we got to go back and make it better. So it's like, I just have one problem right now.
Yeah.
It's just a product. And that gives me so much peace. Like, I'm just like so chilling, you know? And I'm just feeding into my developers, like how long left? Like, when can we bring on our existing clients? Because our strategy is we're going to bring in everyone from Apex initially, and then like everyone from the incubator, and then go external.
Yeah.
It's like we just have a bit of timeline, and yeah, it's just so methodical.
Yeah.
You know?
It makes sense actually when you just say that. It's like focus on your biggest problem right now, where sometimes you go, okay, I've got all of these issues, where it's like just what's the biggest thing that you need to fix right now. And so like, you know, if you're not getting the delivery or the sales side of it, then you need to focus on the marketing, and that's it. Don't worry about, yes, you need to have the systems in place and things like that, but it's a content issue. And I think,
So it's what's the one problem that if solved fixes everything else?
Yeah.
Because under the theory of constraints, there's always going to be one constraint that's limiting everything else. So yes, your business might be completely screwed.
Yeah.
And it might have multiple issues. But all of the other issues don't matter unless the main issue is solved.
Yeah.
So if your issue is sales and you can't close clients, but if your service is also kind of sucky and it kind of is broken, that actually isn't an issue. The sales is an issue. If we fix the sales and bring in 2 or 3 different clients and forcefully fix the delivery, you'll sort it out.
Yeah.
And what I like to always say about this is you will always fix the delivery issue. Stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning, build a new Zapier flow, whatever. But you can't fix an acquisition problem immediately.
Yeah.
It takes time to bring in new eyeballs.
Yeah.
It takes time to get people on calls. Like quite literally, they book for 2 days from now. So you can't just fix a money problem like this, which is why you always need to market.
Yeah.
You know, and we are very focused on delivery with clients. I will say that like a big part of it is like making sure delivery is dialed in. But at the same time, you can never turn off the lights. And this is why I have a lot of agencies that I work with, and it's always the same shit. It's like, got more clients, can't do marketing now. And I'm like, this is not like a slot machine where you put in a penny and get a penny out. Like that's not it. It's more like the ocean. Like it's just like the ocean's constantly on. Yeah. You can't just go home and turn off the ocean. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Tide goes out, tide goes in. Leads come in, leads go out. Clients churn. Yeah, but it's just the ocean, and it's like unpredictable as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's like waves and there's other stuff and so on, but it doesn't end.
Yeah.
And I hate this whole attitude where it's like, I'm doing marketing now. It's like, no. Like today we are both marketing. You're marketing for your business, I'm marketing for my business. I have another podcast tomorrow. I have a podcast with Christian as well on Friday. I've had a few other podcasts I had to move around because my schedule is so busy, but almost like every day, every single day, we're creating something.
Yeah.
We're doing something, we're creating something. And it's not content, it's marketing. Yeah. You know? And then when I was speaking to my team, it's sales, because they're a sales team. And then when I'm on coaching calls, I'm doing delivery. And it's like, stop getting so sensitive about building your business. Yeah. You know, it's like, I don't want to create this crazy content. I don't want to hop on this call. It's like, but that's the business. Yeah. You know? So unless you truly, truly hate it, if you truly hate it, stop.
Then you're in the wrong thing.
Yeah, like we said in the beginning. Yeah. The negative feedback loop that's saying like, okay, this is just not for me. Yeah. And it's funny because I had a call with a client this morning. Guy has done probably over, I think he's done over 10 million in sales. And he hates coaching. Yeah, so his background is in agency and he really hates coaching. And I was like, and he was like, oh, how do you think we should build out this business? And I was like, man, like, if you don't like it, like we shouldn't do it. You know? Like I can build it for you and it's simple. Put in some sales reps and just kind of like run it up. And I was like, yeah, you got a huge audience, like it's easy. But I was like, if you don't want to do it, like like I don't even want to tell you to do it. You know, if you don't want to do it, I don't want to tell you to do it, you know? So I know how to do this thing. But if you're not willing to do it, like
you gotta have the heart in it at the same time. Otherwise, you're gonna resent what you're doing and you won't show up like fully you. And that's a felt experience then for your client, right?
Yes, but the caveat to that is just because you're not liking something in the moment doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Yeah. Right. So this is where the distinction comes in, where it's like, you know, I'll give an example. We had the end of the quarter last month, and we run our sales per quarter. Yeah. And we're always up all night. The last 3 days, you could be up for like 3 days straight, basically, because I'm taking calls and all that kind of stuff. It's always like a squeeze. I finished the end of the quarter. I woke up and I was like in a haze. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I don't feel too good. But it's the start of next quarter. Let's go. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Got back in the office, had a bit of a break, went to the gym, did a sauna, came back. We're like, let's go.
Let's go, yeah.
So it's like, I felt shit in that experience when we had just finished like an all-time high month because I was just tired. But am I going to let that feeling just stop me in general? No.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a bit of awareness to think like, okay, me banging out a bunch of calls right now isn't the most valuable thing. You know, have a smoothie bowl, go to the sauna, and then go back to work. Yeah. Right. And I think one other thing as well, like this is obviously person to person, but something that's really helped me is like just because you feel tired or burnt, or just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're burnt out.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, if I start really early, because I go to bed early, like 9 o'clock, I usually wake up like 4.
Yeah.
And if I start at like 5, by like 4 or 5 p.m., I'm kind of crusty. Like I'm tired. Yeah. Like caffeine's like really hitting me and I'm a bit kind of messed up. If that's the case, I'll just go for dinner with my wife. I'll go to the gym. I won't bring my phone to the gym. I'll just go to sauna. I'll go to ice bath. I'll spend 6 hours, from 4 p.m. to like 10, just like getting back in shape. And I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just taking time for myself. And then I wake up next morning and chill. Yeah. So it's like you don't need to make these things such, catastrophic events. Yeah. It's like I'm tired. I don't like what I'm doing. Oh my God, I gotta give up. It's like, I had a conversation with a guy recently, and he told me that his dad was a suitcase thrower, so the guys that lug suitcases onto the plane, for 30 years in Philadelphia airport. Philadelphia gets super cold. It's like minus 20 in the winter, snow up to here. He basically broke his back in the process because all he was doing was throwing 40-kilo suitcases for like 30 years, to the point that he got laid off after 9/11. And then he went into paramedic support in Philadelphia, which is quite rough. And he just saw like murders, killings, everything daily, like daily bullets, right? And to the point that he got really bad PTSD. He had to do a lot of PTSD like therapy as a result. And I just thought to myself, I was like, fuck man, like that's a real job. That's what I said to him. And he was laughing, but I was like, that's a real job. Yeah. What we do, they're not jobs. They're not jobs. So like respectfully, if you got to take a call at 7 o'clock in the evening, just take the call. Yeah. Just get on with it, because there's a guy running around the paramedics of like the hood in Philadelphia, and he's either getting shot or he's helping people that like just got shot. Yeah. And it's like, dude, choose your heart, right? Fair enough, the fun was tough, but like we'll figure it out. I had a guest on my podcast a couple of months ago, and she pretty much said the same thing. She's like, I'm not out there in the middle of the day like building roads and like, I've got to create a piece of content. Like, just suck it up and do it. And it's like, just otherwise, like, you can be out there and doing worse things. Like, it's actually a privilege to be able to create or be an online business. So, suck it up. Every time I'm like, there's only one more, and like all these other things come to me. You just mentioned there, and I just want to say this to listeners as well, is you're a product of your environment and what is normalized. Like you just mentioned about a client a moment ago about $10 million, right? And there's people in corporate who are busting their butt to earn 6 figures or something along those lines that aren't around around conversations that are showing you what is possible. And for me, I've worked in mining my life, so I've always been around like I've done contracts, so I know what that money looks like. And then also now being around so many successful business owners as well. It's like, change your environment because it shows you what is possible and that there's so many other options of what success could look like as well. So normalize conversations that is possible, because I feel like that when you are around that as well, you're more open as well and go, okay, maybe I should do this as well. So so a few things on this is that I had a conversation with a guy at a mastermind in the summer. I was sitting at a table. It's an older gentleman. He's like 60, 70. And he's asked me what I'm doing. And I'm like, I got this business, whatever. I was like, what do you do? And he's like, I do physical education. I was like, oh, cool. Like, universities and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And I was like, how does that business function? And he's like, last year we did 1.25 billion. And I was like, how did you do it? And he was like, it was one university, and then it was the next, and then it was the next. And he was a billionaire.
Yeah.
And he was sitting next to me at a mastermind. I paid $35,000 to be at the mastermind. I sat there, I turned to the guy looked totally normal. Just like a European dude, super chill. He was a billionaire. And he just was sitting down next to me, and he was talking me through, yeah, this is what we do. This is how we get clients. This is what we do. This is their tenure. This is the payment terms. Crazy stuff he was telling me. And I just thought to myself, this dude's just normal. He's just a normal dude. Yeah, he could be like a little bit more intelligent, but he's just like a normal dude.
Yeah.
He had an idea. He ran these universities. He runs them like businesses. He gets clients. He gets customers. He does the delivery. He gets ascension. He gets them into master's programs. He brings in new people. He runs ads. He creates content. He has a referral program. He does all this on-site campus stuff. Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But he just did the thing.
Yeah.
He looked at a high leverage opportunity. He had the people around him. He went at it. Do you think that he would have been making? Do you think he thought he was going to be making 1.25 billion when he started? No. But he had an idea, and he was like, "Look, there's opportunity here." And at the core essence, his goal is to help people. So traditional education, helping them with traditional careers, engineering careers, mathematics degrees, whatever that may be. That's what he was trying to solve initially. And then he said, "There's a bit of money in this. What else can we do?" And that's exactly the attitude we need. Yeah. It's like, this thing's working, this education business is working, this agency is working, what else can be done? Yeah. And what you realize is there's people with a quarter of your intelligence making 10 times more than you. Yeah. You know, and I'm like the perfect example of that. I'm just like a dumbass, but I'm just willing to like figure it out. Yeah. And like, there's a bit of,
give yourself some more credit, please.
But I'm naturally not intelligent. Let's put it that way. It's not like I was good at anything, you know, like very like average kid. And that should give you a lot of solace. Should give you a lot of peace, right? Because kind of back in the day, it was more like a closed society. Like obviously you had a background in corporate. Yeah. Let's use that as an example. Like finance back in the day, my background was in finance. That was a closed community. You had to go to certain schools, and those certain schools went to certain banks, and those certain banks, people would move between them. That's a closed community. Yeah. The online world and online business is democratized. Any Joe Soap can get in there. Yeah. And you just need to be around the right people. Yeah. And it's like, if you don't have money to buy your seat at the table, join free communities, right?
There's so much.
Just get in the door. And it's funny because like we develop a lot of sales reps, talent. A lot of these guys are like 19, 18, 17, and they got themselves into sales programs for free or maybe like $1,000 or whatever. And they started to learn and get into the space. They're 19, 20. They might have closed like $100,000 for like someone and made like their first 10K. Might have taken them 6 months, but they did it, you know? And I said this to one of my reps yesterday. I was just like, we're talking about someone who was like 19. And I was like, what were you doing at 19? I was like, I was in a club at 19. So it's never been easier. It's right there in front of you. You can pick your poison in terms of what it is you want to do. And as you said, it's getting yourself around the right people. And I think that's why I've been really big on, look, you gotta, as someone who provides a product or service, you have to take your own medicine. Yeah. So I have coaches for speaking, business coaches, what else? God, everything, literally everything. So I believe in this sales actually as well. A lot of coaches. I've had so many coaches for sales. It cost me so much money, but it's so valuable. If I am to believe in this and to believe in my product, I have to also buy things which reconfirm my commitment to what I do. Yep. Because otherwise, if I'm like, doesn't work, it's like, why the fuck would someone buy my thing? Yeah.
You got to invest in yourself too.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And then that opens doors. Like even our sales coach now, he like loves the brand apparently. I've never met him because he's working with our team. Yeah. I've never met him, but I've just heard that he loves like the podcast and he listens to the podcast and he finds like a lot of similarities and like my journey and him. And I don't know what he looks like. Yeah. But he's part of like a bigger sales training thing. And I'm like, that's an opportunity. I will hopefully meet that guy one day. And it's like, that's how doors get unlocked and opportunities get unlocked. And so, and you don't need $1 million to do that. Yeah. You can literally do that for free on the internet right now.
Yeah. You're right. Like on YouTube, there's so much. And I mean, you even like put in like your content.
Yes.
You know, it's like such free value there as well, which I'll make sure I include on the podcast as well for listeners too.
For sure. But like, I think the TLDR on this is that, you know, a lot of people, it's actually quite funny. A lot of people who can't afford what we do, watch the free content and get amazing results. Yeah. A lot of people who can't afford what we do, watch the free content, get amazing results, and then buy what we want. Yeah. Because they like us, and it's like a very fair exchange. It's like they've watched content for 4 or 5 years. They've built their own business. They could be making, let's say, like $100K a year, and they're like, all right, like this guy, I already trust him. I've watched him and everything. So it's much more natural. Yeah. And it's just easy. It's very straightforward, you know?
What were you hoping that I would ask today that we haven't covered off?
Oh, that's a good point. Again, it's something that I don't think about. That's a good point. Nothing really. Yeah. Yeah, I think you kind of you hit a nail on the head. You did an awesome job.
That was my next question. So I have very much a growth mindset and always open for feedback and improvement. You're like one of the best in the game. Let's do some live feedback here. Yeah. And if it's bad, I'll cut it out. But no.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Like, you know, give it to me. Like what's, because I've only been in the podcast game now since January. I think this would be my 26th, 27th episode now. So please, feel free to provide feedback.
You've done exactly what I didn't do, which is you followed the conversation. Yeah. So the issue that I've had myself personally was I was so stuck to the rubric, like to the textbook, that it really threw the conversations, because it was very like I had a story arc, so like how to do X, Y, Z. Yeah. And if I wasn't getting that story arc done, I would feel like anxious or something. I don't know. It was really weird. Whereas the way that I describe it is when you went to do exams as a kid, the examiner never doesn't know what you didn't write. He only knows about what you wrote. Yeah. So don't be fearful about what you didn't say. Focus on what you did say. So I can kind of see in yourself, like you kind of have like a bit of resistance when like I say something and you want to double tap on it, but then you had like a different idea. Because the issue with podcasting is that you need to have one ear on what's happening and one ear on where it's going. But it's like, kind of forget about where it's going. I would focus way more on what's happening. Yeah. Because the only thing that's real is what's happening. Everything else isn't real. Yeah. So you're like, oh my God, I need to say this question. It's like, that's actually not real. It didn't happen. It's not conscious. Yeah. The only thing that's conscious is this. Yeah. And the only thing that I'm thinking about is what you're actually saying to me. So if I'm like, da 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 da, and you're like, that's great, but you move on. Yeah. I don't recognize this, but people do. They're like, this person wasn't listening to me consciously. Yeah. Now, they don't say that consciously, they say that unconsciously, but it is happened, because you know what it's like. If you speak to like an old friend and they're just dying to talk versus they don't give a fuck about your response, that's really bad. And people can tell that. Yeah. And it's done on like a meta level. It's done on like the metaphysical. It can be done on the physical level, but in a conversation, it's not really recognized, but a listener actually does pick it up. Yeah. So as you develop your career with this, you'll get 2 pieces of feedback. You're like, 2 negative feedback. One is this person only asked too much questions. Yeah. Which was me when I started. Or the second part, which was this person talks too much, which I'd prefer to get, because then it's a balance. Everything, it should be 50-50, right? Because then you leave and you're like, the guest leaves and you're like, this person's fucking awesome. Yeah. How do I know that's true? Most of my guests, not most of them, but I've recorded a lot of podcasts, but some of my guests that I got on very well with are my friends. Yeah. And I truly believe this, that anyone that you trust, you should work with. Yeah. Because a lot of my close friends are my clients. And some of these guys have made way more money than me, but I can teach them something very specific because they know that I'm not full of shit. And I can teach them one specific thing. I know that to be true, because it's the same with me. Like a lot of my friends who I trust, I buy their stuff, and I always buy their stuff specifically. as an exchange of value.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really, really important. And that's how I develop relationships off my podcast. And it's funny because I was at a dinner with like a very famous person at the weekend, like a very well-known person. And someone at dinner was like, why, he's like, what do you get from the podcast anymore, you know? And I was like, just a relationship.
Yeah.
I get the extra bit of learning, the nuance to what I'm doing and the relationship, because otherwise I would just stay in my office all day. So it's a good way to forcefully get me out of my show.
Yeah.
Which is why, you know, as we know, like organizing podcasts is a shit show. Like remember last week I crashed my bike. I was in the office because I crashed outside the office and I was like, this is so unprofessional. And I was just like, such an unprofessional thing to do, but it is difficult to organize, right? Yeah. Organizing podcasts are difficult, but that's a barrier to entry.
Yeah.
And that's why most people don't do it. You know, that's why people don't do it.
Yeah.
So when there is a bit of friction, I'd lean into it a small bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So and this is where, you know, even when you're looking at like what to talk about, like I was meant to record a podcast today, this morning, as well. But I guess I gave it an extra day, but I don't need to prep because I know what I'm doing as an archetype, like a story arc. So I think the podcast tomorrow is going to be like how to get more clients, how to get clients on autopilot. That's the story arc. And then I just know like, look, I want to hit that title. Yeah. And let's leave things flow from here. Yeah. And look, if it adjusts, adjusts. Yeah. Yeah. But start with a title. Yeah, that's a big thing. Do you do that?
Yes and no, because like I feel like for me it's around, I just love listening to people's stories, where they came from to where they are. And so that's the whole premise of the actual podcast as well. And so, yes, I've got like what's the big idea and some topics and stuff like that I kind of plan for. And at the same time, it follows similar theme, like what's your story? What's your origin story essentially? And then what was your turning point and what have you done? And then also like how can people get value? So it's not necessarily about business and give me the best business advice. It's more about the conversation and the lessons that you've learnt along the way to show that people that are listening that, you know, everyone starts somewhere and it's an opportunity for people to go, I resonate with that particular story. Yes. They're just like me. Okay, so if they're just like me, what do I need to do to create change in my life? Yep. And that's the whole premise about it.
Yeah, and then I think the biggest thing is just being able to weigh in. Yeah. You know, it's like the guests too also want you to weigh in. Yeah. They want you to be like, okay, like, what have you done in this instance? You know. Yeah. So I think it's a big turning point for me, which is like, you may see this in my marketing. Well, not anymore. I don't need to do it anymore, but I had to do it, which was I'm not a podcaster. I'm a business owner. Yeah. Who creates content for their business. Yeah. And then everyone's like, okay, this guy's serious. So I get on a podcast with someone that's doing like, you know, 20 million a year. And yeah, I'm not making that money, but I might have something valuable to share. You know, he might say something like, this happens a lot. Like, you know, don't need any organic content, just doing paid. I'm like, yeah, but like, have you considered this? And the person's like, no, tell me. Yeah. All right, cool. And then I go back and we can like riff and that's what riffing is, you know? Yeah. Like that's what the world is. It's like nuanced. Yeah. So you don't want your podcast to be a series of short form clips. Yeah. You want it to be rough around the edges. Yeah. You know, and there's something that people, what did Tom describe it as, is like, you want to share pieces of your story that show how rough you are around the edges, because that's what people cling on to. Yeah. People hold on to. They don't hold on to your polished, and then I built this business to this. It's like I've made a ton of money, but I grew up around alcoholism. I got abused as fuck as a kid. It fucked me up. I was really bad at taking a ton of drugs when I was younger and taking a ton of alcohol, but I got over it. Yeah. And that's the truth. At 24, I stopped doing all that shit for the most part. And yeah, I had like a terrific childhood. And that actually resonates with a lot of people, because a lot of people have the exact same experience. Yeah. I have a lot of Irish people that message me on a daily basis and they're like, holy fucking shit, I didn't realize how bad alcoholism was in Ireland until I made a ton of videos on it. Yeah. About a year ago, I was like, Ireland sucks for this reason. And I was like, everyone like talks down how bad alcohol is. Yeah. And then I was like, yeah, my story is the exact reason why. Yeah. Because it manifested like throughout my entire life. And yeah, it was really, really bad. You know, and like, I'm not saying that to evoke emotion. I'm saying that because it's true.
Yeah.
And then people are like, that's fucking fair.
Yeah.
Australia is very similar to Ireland.
Yeah, it is.
So you probably may have like an indirect like reference to that. And it's like, okay, like I'm not saying that from a perspective of like trying to get you to do something for me. I'm saying that just because like I believe it. Conviction.
Yeah.
Right? Conviction is like, this is what I believe. I know it to be true because I broke the mold on it.
Yeah.
That's what personality is in a conversation.
Yeah. And that's your experience at the same time, right? And
Shared
then you've
experience.
like, yeah, which is the whole point of it.
This is awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate your time.